Greetings. It's been raining all day here today. Apparently we've got an atmospheric river going all over the last few days from this point on. I was trying to wait out the rain to see if there was a break in the rain so I could skate in some dry concrete for a bit, but that did not happen. So since the day is running short, here I am. Got to skate in the rain somehow. And since it is raining, that means I got to talk a little bit about my testimony. I guess that's what I've been doing. I got 2 parts already up. Since it's such a large testimony, it goes on basically from my birth, but I'll just chop it up into segments. So today I'm going to talk about how I got addicted to drugs when I was 14 and alcohol. So I started I said this before in the first episode that my father killed himself when I was 11 in 1993, and I started hating God from that point. So just like any other kid, I was trying to fit in and dealing with peer pressure and stuff. I started smoking weed. It was pretty easy to smoke weed since my whole family smoked weed. Well, my immediate family, my mother and brother. Well, my brother didn't start smoking weed till after, so I'm the older brother. But I started smoking weed when I was 14, just over there with a bunch of punks my age, and then just kept smoking weed from there. And soon after, started drinking alcohol, and I soon quickly realized that my new stepfather, my second stepfather, he's not alive anymore. He died a few years ago, so I can freely talk about him, but he was a drug dealer, and I used to steal weed from him and mushrooms quite often and sell them at the high school here. So I became a drug dealer. I was just selling like joints and baggies and stuff, and that's all I knew. I spent my money on alcohol and video games and such all through my teen years. And we used to always get high on anything we could find. So we back in the day, we used to like do stupid stuff like other kids these days, but we used to huff whiteout. A few times we huffed gasoline and stuff. Mostly just smoking weed and doing mushrooms. Oh yeah, I did acid when I was 14 too. So it all escalated from that age, I guess. Started skipping school. I was an A student. I was pretty gifted when I was young in elementary and through middle school, but I didn't want to be smart anymore, so I purposely started damaging my brain with stuff. And I didn't want to be smart anymore, so I started dropping out of school, and I used to manipulate and trick all the students and teachers at the high school into thinking that I was mentally challenged, but I wasn't. So I got into a special class. It's just noisy here for a second. Yeah, I got into a special class when I was 15 or so. That was all manipulation, just so life could be easier for me. So I didn't even want to try anymore. And I ended up in the alternate school here, and all the math work and English stuff was pretty easy. So I finished my math 11 and grade 12 English. Yeah, the rain makes it a lot more noisier out here, I tell you. I'll just reset the clip. Alright, it's a little quieter for a bit here from now. So, where was I? Oh yeah, I was smoking weed and drinking and doing a lot of mushrooms. I used to steal mushrooms, like grams and grams of it, and just eat it and play NES games and Super Nintendo games and PlayStation 1 games all by myself in my room, just high on mushrooms. And I lived in the basement of my mom's house when I was in my later teens, and that was a gathering place for everyone. We used to go there everyone would gather at my place and do drugs and drink and stuff. And my mom used to boot all the alcohol for me. She bought cases and cases of stuff for me all the time whenever I wanted it. And that was my life as a teenager for years. And I was skateboarding. I started skateboarding when I was 13. Yeah, 1995. So, yeah, I think I started skating and smoking weed around the same time. I might have stuff mixed up a bit, but that was my life for years. Until I got kicked out of my house when I was 19. And then things got much worse. When I got kicked out of my house, I got some roommates, some friends of mine. One of them's not alive anymore. He died a couple of years ago. But he introduced me to a lot of stuff like cocaine and meth and snorting Ritalin and stuff. Like, he had a prescription of Ritalin, so he used to just buy it and do it as a drug. But he'd just get the prescription like 3 months at once. So he sold me a 3-month supply once, and I got high with it with 2 other people snorting it for a week straight. Stayed awake for an entire week. Yeah, that entire week I did not sleep a wink. By the time it was to go to sleep, when it was all gone, I was died down a bit. Traffic is pretty bothersome right now, but let it be, I guess. But yeah, by the time it was time to go to sleep and all the Ritalin was gone, after the 7 days of staying awake, I was afraid to go to sleep, and I thought I was going to die. We all developed psychosis during that time, and it was a pathway into even more hell than I originally thought. So during that time, I was a heavy alcoholic. I used to drink a lot of 151 rum and Boilermakers, lots of beer. I lost tons of weight. I was down 120 pounds. I barely ate anything. Used to try and invoke demons while high on meth and cocaine and that Ritalin trip. I used to go into the bathroom in darkness and just sit there and try to call upon demons. No, it wasn't a good time at all. At the time also, I wrote a lot of poetry and drew a lot of pictures. During this entire time, I was writing a book. I still have one copy of the book, and I got it published in 2009, but it's not available anymore. Maybe I'll show it one of these days, but it has a lot of those writings in it. And that book has 11 years of my testimony in there, and it's a pretty evil book. That's why I got it off the shelves in 2013. I took it off. But I don't know. Yeah, that was a heavy time in my life. Heavy drugs. That was about a decade of drugs. And I did end up going into a psych ward when I was 17, mentally assessed. And from 2013 onward, I spent 10 years from 2003. Yeah, I'm getting stuff mixed up here. The traffic is really bothering me. Can't think. Just hold on. Alright, where was I? Oh yeah, 2003, from when I did that Ritalin trip and did all those uppers and stuff. And I was heavy alcoholic, like the heaviest I've ever been in that year. I ended up in dealing with psychiatrists and mental health workers and doctor's appointments weekly from 2003 up until 2013, and I was on heavy doses of medication, heavy tranquilizers. So it kind of, my alcoholism tapered off a bit, but I still drank some on those pills. It got bad again, and I got hooked on MDMA when a friend of mine came across the ability to deal it and sell it. And so I used to go hang out at his place and do lots of MDMA and drink like all the time for like a year straight until he developed psychosis. He ended up thinking there was a frog living in his heart, and he ended up disappearing, and then my source of MDMA was cut off, and I guess that was the end of that. But yeah, I still drank a little bit here and there, but 2009 that was it for me. I can barely remember it, but I haven't drank alcohol since 2009. Except for a few times where I tried to drink a beer or 3. And once, a specific year, I can't even remember, maybe it was 2015. Yeah, once that entire year. And maybe once another year, but I never had that draw and that pull to keep drinking, so God took it away from me at some point, and it probably has to do with another part of my testimony. But I have a heavy history of drug addiction and alcoholism, and at this point in time in my life, I'm not an alcoholic. I'm not a drug addict. I have no cravings of that stuff whatsoever. I did smoke weed for the entire time. Actually, I quit smoking weed for 2 years until I got a brutal head injury here at the skate park, and I had to start up again, and then I quit it. I smoked weed for probably 3 years after that, and then maybe even longer. But I haven't smoked any weed in the last 3 years. It's just one day I just quit and haven't gone back. No looking back. It's like the highway's finally clear on that side. So, yeah, I don't drink anymore. I don't smoke weed anymore. No cravings whatsoever. Don't even take any pills. I haven't taken a pill since 2013. Not even a Tylenol or ibuprofen. It's as long as I can remember. Nothing. But 2013 was like a certain, it was a pinnacle year for me, so I might get in that next time. So it was like 1993, like it was important, and then in 2003 was another milestone year, and then in 2013 is the next milestone year. I could tell you 2023 was the next milestone year, and that is rather interesting. But I don't know where I'm going all with this. I just wanted to maybe articulate it and detail it out. I have no shame of any of this stuff, so I've been telling people about it for years, and I've already talked about all this stuff before in front of crowds of hundreds of people, so it's not a big deal to me. I'll say it and I'll speak it, and I have no shame of it whatsoever. So I want you to know that as God healed me of these things, by His mercy and His grace and His glory, for His glory, and I owe everything to God, and I need to show and detail where I've been and the contrast of where I am now. And that's important because I understand where I was still. I recognize it and I can see it in other people, and I know life can be better. It doesn't have to be that way. So I can't just go on and just say stuff. I believe in people only. You should only teach people if you have the experience to back it up. If you don't have the experience to back it up, you should just keep your mouth shut. And real life experience, not academic stuff, because that doesn't really count either. Anyways, I could go rambling on and on and on. I probably ramble on enough. So I'm here at the skate park, and it's raining out here, and it's a dry patch, and I sat for too long, I guess. Maybe that was a bit too long of a talk, but yeah, I was a drug addict and an alcoholic, and I'm not a drug addict and I'm not an alcoholic anymore by the grace and glory and the mercy of God. Praise Jesus! went into a big puddle. Well, I haven't done flip tricks slack around in quite a long time, and it felt kind of awkward, but I still got them. It didn't take too long to land them. If I keep up on it, God willing, then I could get all the harder ones back pretty quick, I'm sure. Well, I can't really talk out here anymore. Well, I never really could. It's just too noisy. You suffer well out there in the world. God bless. There'll be many of us out there in the desert. So learn to trust God, and He'll carry you through it. Learn to love what God loves and hate what God hates. Onward!